Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we are going to talk about fake energy versus authentic energy. What is authentic energy and what is fake energy in the perspective of this being in front of you here? So, in a nutshell, authentic energy is the energy you had as a child. Meaning, you did not need motivation, you did not need inspiration, you did not need stimulation, really, of any form, to act in the way you acted as a child. For instance, I did not need to ever inspire myself or motivate myself to go outside the house and play football, also known as soccer. I loved it. I just like when I knew that the boys were gonna play it, it didn't matter how I felt, it didn't matter what I ate, what I didn't eat. I didn't need to go listen to some motivational speaker. I didn't need to inspire myself. I just went outside and I just wanted to play football. Okay? I'm giving you here one example. So anything that you don't need any stimulation to act or do or be, it's authentic energy. And if you go back to your own childhood, you'll realize that it is pretty much the only time where you consistently had authentic energy. And you will realize that as you grew older and older and older as a human, you started to require more and more and more stimulation. You needed more stimulation, more stimulation. But of course, there were those moments where you didn't need the stimulation, but you will realize this. You will realize, for instance, that let's say if you're in love with football, you'll realize that when you were 4 years old, you did not need any stimulation whatsoever. And although your love for football is exactly the same when you're a 25-year-old, you will probably realize that not all the time, but a lot of the time or most of the time, you require some form of stimulation before going and playing. And I'll explain to you why, but you may require a cup of coffee, you may require some music, you may require some motivational speeches to go to before you go to your game, to play for your game. You may require some form of stimulation. Because what happens is, as you grow older and older, the authentic energy, that spontaneous energy, that word's very important, that spontaneous energy of yours gets drained and drained and drained and drained. And by the time you're in your 30s and in your 40s, you're hooked up on all kinds of stimulations. You're hooked up on coffee, you're hooked up on pharmaceuticals, you're hooked up on drugs, you're hooked up on amphetamines, on Adderall, on all kinds of things. You're hooked up on music. You can't do anything now without listening to a bunch of music before. You're hooked up on motivational speeches. You're hooked up on someone else's words. You need to listen to someone. Like as a child, I didn't need to listen to words to do what I wanted to do. And that just doesn't include football. It includes anything. So I sometimes just wanted to go for a walk. I want to go for a bike ride. I wanted to just do things. I didn't require listening to someone to tell me, or didn't require motivation, didn't require inspiration, didn't require coffee, didn't require drugs, didn't require anything, didn't require food for that matter, okay? I remember in the early days of my childhood, I'd be forced to eat because I didn't want to eat. Because something in me knew that actually when I eat, it kind of sucks in that authentic, spontaneous energy out of me. Though when you're a child, you're still able to, because you're still young, you're in a young body, it's different. But as you continue to abuse yourself through bad lifestyle habits that we have all been ingrained in modern society, then more and more do you need to be stimulated. And then in your 30s, in your 40s, you become addicted. You need to eat something before you go play. You need to drink coffee. You need to listen to somebody, some motivation. You need to listen to some inspiration. You need to watch Rocky before you go out and do your thing with your sport, because you're really tired, but you want to stimulate, which is the fake energy we're talking about here. Okay? So you ever were feeling really exhausted, but then you perhaps put on like some motivational speeches, like maybe 20 minutes of motivation, and then suddenly you just felt this burst of energy and you went and you trained in the gym, or you did something that you love to do but you simply didn't have this spontaneous, authentic energy to do. But then you listen for 20 minutes for some motivation and you're like, oh yeah, he's right. I've done this many times, okay? And then you go and you have a really terrific like session. You really go and you really have a terrific football match. You really perform really well. You go to the gym and you really have a killer of a workout. But then a couple of days later, maybe you're like sick or something. Because what happened is, that's what happens to players, by the way. They get injured all the time, those players, because they're overstimulated. Those same players who are probably so energetic and full of spontaneous energy, they just love to play the game and they just played it in their younger days. But as they get older, they start to get injured, they're overstimulated. And although their love for the game hasn't changed, but their energy has. There's too much faulty behavior, too much toxicity in their body. Their love for the game is the same, but now they're getting injured because they're overstimulating themselves to go play the game. They have to drink coffee, they have to drink Red Bull. They have to do something crazy stimulating before, just so they can do the same thing that they in their childhood have been doing spontaneously and with such pleasure. Okay, so spontaneous energy, right? It's spontaneous energy versus fake energy. So where was I? What was my point here? I think I was going somewhere with this. I was going somewhere. Okay, so we all know. Yes, this is what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I've personally have experienced this many times in my fitness days. Although I love training, when I was in the gym, oh my God, I was like a god there. And because I love it. But for me to go to the gym, I'd wake up really exhausted. So I'd have to do two things. I'd have to drink a very heavy cup of Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee is very strong. And I would have to listen to like 30 minutes of music, like Eminem, like heavily stimulating music. And then I'll take a cold shower. And those things would give me the energy, which is fake really, because all I really spontaneously want to do, as far as my body's concerned, is rest and do nothing. I would go to the gym, and when I'm there, I'm like, yeah, I love this. I'd have a killer workout. But every like few months, every 2 months, every 3 months, I have a flu. Of course, because there's so much acidity and toxicity in my body because I'm overstimulating this body. You see? So, was I functional? Did I have energy? Yes, I did, but it was fake. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't like when I was a child. It wasn't like when I was 5, 6. Why is that? Why do we lose that childlike, spontaneous, seamless, effortless? It's like effortless, right? The way of the Tao is effortless. Why is this effortless energy that we all had as children? Why do we lose this as we get older? They call it aging. No, my friends, I call it toxicity. I call it the buildup of toxicity in our minds and in our bodies. Because of the the deliberately toxic ways in which modern civilization is deliberately designed to suck the energy out of you. Hola amigo, ¿cómo estás? It is deliberately designed to suck the life out of you, to suck the energy out of you. Okay, make no mistake about it. So as you grow older and older, the same things that you loved, when you're doing them, you love them, but you need heavy stimulation to do them. Therefore, you're faking, your energy is fake. It's not, and all it's doing is taxing your body, it's aging you. Okay? So, some of the things that we go through from our childhood until our adulthood include, and primarily, terrible food. Terrible food. Man, I ate cereal like cornflakes with pasteurized milk and sugar on it for the first 20 years of my life. My first 22 years of my life. Okay, maybe not the first 2 or 3 years because I was breastfeeding, but after, You know, I replaced the my mom's milk for pasteurized milk, okay, mass-produced pasteurized milk, and cornflakes in it. So probably like for the first 20 years of my life, so from age 2 to age 22, I had cornflakes, pasteurized milk, and a ton of sugar on it, just pure white sugar. That is really, really bad. That is really bad, but that's just like a small, like that's just only like, that was like just like the breakfast meal, okay? Then I would have these like sandwiches with like sliced meat in it, cheese, you know, just like mass-produced bread, glutinous bread with all kinds of preservatives in it. And that was my snack. And then my lunch would be like more sandwiches and some like candies and stuff. No, there was a snack. That was a snack. That was like my lunch, but that wasn't really my lunch. That was my snack. And then I would go home and that would be my lunch. And it would be like some heavy antibiotic chicken, okay, with, you know, just all kinds of spices, toxic spices. Like, I mean, it's a disaster, and that's just that's just halfway through. Then there's snacks in between, then there's dinner. It's like, wow. We do this for decades. So that starts to suck the energy out of us, that childlike, spontaneous, effortless energy. And then we go older and older and we say, well, that's normal, that's aging. No, it's not. No, it's not. Humans are supposed to live for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Okay? Then pharmaceutical drugs that we take. I mean, my father is a he's a certified medical doctor. He's an MD. And he only did what he thought was best. I'm not taking any shots at him. He only did what he thought was best. But basically, any little ache in my body, I would just take something for it. We opened the fridge, and like there is like pills there on the side. You know, when you open the fridge, you have the side, and people like will put maybe milk there or some stuff. You know, like on the side, it was all pills. It was all pills for everything, right? If I was constipated, I'd take laxatives. If I had a headache, I'd take Panadol. Like it's like the equivalent of Advil, right? And I continued that behavior well into my 20s, like my early 20s. Because I just thought that's what you do, you know? That's what you do. And headaches were so common. I'd have a headache every day. I'd just take Panadol, Advil, you know? So, yeah, those pharmaceuticals have a lot of side effects. A lot of very toxic chemicals, very toxic side effects. Then the smoking, I smoked cigarettes. And like, I'm just this is just the average. Like most humans indulge in these things, right? I smoked cigarettes for a few years, 3 to 4 years. Smoked weed for about the same period, maybe longer. So my lungs, I was raping my lungs. And then like, you know, most humans were indulging in like very toxic behavior, indulgence, consumption, very toxic. Okay, so that's like pretty much the primary way in which they suck our energy, is through our mouth, essentially, our mouths. What they put in our mouths, and then, you know, of course, you know, what they put in our bodies, basically. You know, the V word here, all kinds of V's in there. You know, as children, we took all kinds of V's. My brother sent me his V card of all the V's he took as a child. I'm pretty sure I took the same ones. It was scary to see how many V's were injected. So through what they inject in our bodies, you know, dentistry, all the kinds of sorcery that goes on in the dentist, mercury fillings and all kinds of things. Okay, you see. So what they put in our bodies is how that spontaneous, effortless, childlike energy that we all have, this is the energy of God, okay, is how it gets sucked from us. So the same things that we enjoy as children, we now need stimulation to enjoy them or to do them. So I have gone through basically all my 20s running on fake energy. I had the reputation in the fitness days. You guys who followed me through the fitness journey, you know that I'm not trying to flex or exaggerate. But if you've seen my fitness channel, which I have deleted, which by the way had 100,000 subscribers, I was like full of energy. in those videos, I was like doing crazy things in the gym. I was lifting a lot of weights and doing like all kinds of things. And that was all fake energy because I needed heavy stimulation in the form of coffee, in the form of music that just really like stimulates you, agitates you almost, makes you angry, like Eminem makes me angry. I want to go express that anger. It's like synthetic energy. You see, synthetic. Mind, I have to go into my mind, push myself. Oh, you're tired, you gotta do it. Just do it, bro, just do it. Stimulation, fake energy. And as I got now into my 30, I'm a 30-year young human being. It's all pretty much been catching up to me. These last few years, I have been struggling quietly and silently with just chronic fatigue, you know? And it really came to my attention when I stopped microdosing LSD, because that was another thing that I was using to stimulate me. I began to realize when I removed all stimulation, when I started eating much less, like once a day, little like small meals. You may say, oh, you're starving yourself. No, I'm not. I'm just removing stimulation here. And I'm realizing, holy shit. Boy, did I have a banger of a 20s, but man, did I synthesize a lot of that energy. Was this a lot of it fake? And what I'm on a quest to do right now at the moment is to reclaim my childhood, effortless, spontaneous, authentic, real energy. That's the mission I'm on. And how am I going on about it? By purifying myself, by purifying my mind through meditation and contemplation and reflection, and by purifying my body through all the cleansing tools available to us. Fasting, water fasting, or coconut water cleansing, or juice cleansing, or all the tools available to us. Abstinence from technology, no fab, etc., etc. I am now going through this process, and I have to say that I am struggling at the moment because there's very little stimuli available to me. Okay, now there are healthy things that we can do to ourselves, like for instance taking a cold shower. That's another thing that I used heavily to stimulate myself. I would take 2 to 3 cold showers a day back in those like fitness days where I would need that energy all day. But all they were doing is they were stimulating me. Now, is it unhealthy? Does that mean don't take cold showers? No. But if you're using it as a stimulus, like I had to take cold shower in the morning, and I had to take one in the afternoon, because it would give me energy, because it's a healthy thing to do. But if you're using it just for stimulation, you're using otherwise a healthy thing to do for purpose of stimulation, you will burn out. Because if you're starting to, if you'll burn out. I'm telling you, if you're always like stimulating your adrenals, because cold shower will stimulate the adrenals also, but it is like a healthy stimulation. If you go in for 5-10 minutes, that's a healthy dose. But if you're doing it all day long just to stimulate yourself because you're really feeling exhausted, you're now burning out your adrenals. Okay? So I'm on that quest, and I have to say it's been a struggle. Because I realized just how burned out I have been, because I was so active and I burned my adrenals out throughout my 20s and my teens also, but more so in my 20s. But of course, also the accumulation of toxicity in my body is another big thing here. And it's been a struggle, folks. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a struggle. But we're getting there, right? We're getting there through this process, this systematic process of purification. We're gonna get there, and I'm going to reclaim that spontaneous, effortless, abundant, childlike energy. And I, just like all of you guys, had a ton of it in my childhood. A ton of it. I couldn't keep myself still in my childhood days. That when my mom would want me to recite something because I'm preparing for like a test or something the next day, I'd be jumping up and down as she's going through to help me prepare for the next for tomorrow's test or something. But that was in my early childhood days, before I kept my body kept being more and more corrupt. That was when I was 5, 6, 7, and as I grew older and older, I could see more and more corruption. By the time I got to 10, I started getting chubby. I started to binge on junk food, and the plot was already being lost in those days. I was a wrestler in high school. I was a pretty prolific wrestler, and I wrestled the whole time with a busted knee. I just stimulated myself, man. I wanted to be like win. I wanted, you know, the ego. The ego is another, like this egoic desire to do something for yourself. You know, in your teenage years, it's massive, right? I wanted to prove myself. So I'd go and, oh, my knee, I busted my knee, man. Oh my God. That came to haunt me later on. Yeah. So stimulation can be egoic. I want to prove myself. But as a child, you don't really want to prove yourself. In your early childhood, especially. Let me go. In my early childhood, I didn't want to prove myself. I just wanted to play. I'm talking when I was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There was no egoic stimulation, like I must prove myself. It was just like, oh man, let's go play. Just want to have fun. Got all this plentiful of energy. So I'm on a quest to reclaim that through purification of mind, through purification of body. Okay? We can all reclaim that. We can all live, create heaven on earth, live for hundreds and thousands of years with this childlike energy. If you're familiar with Joe Campbell's Hero's Journey, basically, you start off and you go back and you become a wise child again. I'm here to reclaim that. You should be on the same quest as well, okay? All right, if you would like to donate to this channel, if you've got a couple of $1 million sitting around, not doing much, hanging out in your crypto wallet or in your bank account, you can send them my way. I'll take them off your hands, okay? I also do consultations. I have a link down below in the description if you're interested, if you want to consult about anything really. That's about it. I'll see you guys in the next video.